Stop. Hey there. This is your host from Fatherhood Friday, here to tell you why AnchorFM.com is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Their creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right on your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Breaker, Bullhorn Radio Public, and much more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimal listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So if you're interested in making a podcast, stop by AnchorFM.com. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Hey there. This is your host from Fatherhood Friday, here to tell you why AnchorFM.com is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Next on Fatherhood Fridays, Season 4.
Yo, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Just excited this week. Man, I have been trying to get this brother on air.
Well, I can tell you for sure that there are no perfect parents.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think, one of the biggest challenges, I think, for moms and dads in general is that parenting, you sense it. It's one of the most critical roles that you're going to play in life.
All right, so this is what I got so far.
Hey, you out there. Voting isn't just going to the polls on election day anymore. Options like early voting, mail-in voting, and ballot drop boxes are available to more voters and are growing in popularity. How to Vote, a tool created by Democracy Works, breaks down the options your state offers for casting a ballot, empowering you to decide when and where to vote. For more information, go to howto.vote. Thanks. For being a part of Fatherhood Friday Season 4. How is it going to our listeners, to our viewers? How's your day? How's it living? I'm doing pretty good myself as we are in this fall season. And we are in Season 4, folks, in the middle of Season 4. And as fathers and as men, sometimes we feel as though we're on an island by ourselves. Sometimes many things, problems, and situations come at us, and we don't have the necessary tools to be equipped. And so there is Fatherhood Fridays, but there's also a nonprofit organization called The Man in Me. And today we're going to be speaking to a friend of mine that I met down here when I relocated to Texas by the name of Isaac Rowe. And he's going to be talking to us today on how The Man in Me got started, the purpose of it, and why you should be a part of The Man in Me. Allow me to introduce Isaac Rowe. How you doing today, man?
Good. Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show, man. I always want to be on your show. Finally, I get to be on your show, man. Thank you.
Problem between my schedule or your schedule. Sometimes it just doesn't connect, but you've made it for Season 4, and I'm so glad you've given me the opportunity to interview you. And yeah, man, we doing it.
Absolutely, man. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And so, just kind of going into your world a little bit, what is going on, not just with The Man in Me, but what's going on with you in your life?
A lot of different things. It's been interesting in this COVID quarantine space, but for me personally, it's been a lot of self-awareness of who I am. What do I really want? What do I really want out of life? What do I want for my family? And am I being intentional about those things that I want? And am I moving forward to those goals that I want for myself and for my family? And just being real about that. Because I think I had to be honest with myself. I said, I feel like even though I say, wishful things and dream and, you say encouraging words to yourself, but then sometimes there's like that line where I feel like I'm lying to myself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, am I lying to myself? And this is what other people think about like life, and this is what you're supposed to say, and this is what you're supposed to do. And, this is how I'm like, what do you want, Isaac? And that's where I'm faced with today. It's like asking myself every day, like, what do you want? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want some peach cobbler? Do you want, what I'm saying? Do you really want some peach cobbler? Do you want peach cobbler? Or do you want abs? What I'm saying? I got to make this, these decisions, but I'm on the surface level, but there's a deeper level to that. But that's where I've been at these days, man. That's where I've been at. So it's been very enriching for me in this journey of learning who I am and purpose. So.
Well, I think if it's been enriching for you, it's been enriching for all of us, especially in 2020, when society seems like it has flipped upside down, and whatever can be shaken will be shaken. And so it's no longer wishful thinking. You have to draw the line in the sand and say, either I'm going to make a decision to do it, or I'm going to make a decision not to do it. But to just be wishful thinking or just planning, there's no more time to do that. And so, you have cultivated this organization, this nonprofit called The Man in Me. And so let's kind of go down that journey of the early stages of Man in Me, and maybe even your childhood, and how you were inspired to birth The Man in Me.
That's good. That's a good question. Well, my upbringing was basically in a single parent household. And so within that, my father was out doing his thing. My mother was a substance abuser, shall I say. So she was on drugs and majority of my life. And she basically she made sure that she made my dad pay, in the sense of withholding his kids away from him to punish him in whatever way. Mm-hmm. And then through that, because she was on drugs and she knew that he would take the kids away from her, she would keep running from city to city, trying to like escape. But then my dad still had to pay child support, right? So, but he still couldn't see his kids. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a product of what we deal with today as far as Man in Me, and I didn't know all this until 2009, when some of the stuff hit me as far as what to do in this initiative, or shall I say, call, in a sense, a purpose comes into fruition, and so from that, all those different things from my past and my childhood, and being bullied, rejected, and all that good stuff kind of birthed into some certain things as a child, being the oldest of my other two siblings. In 2009, I got laid off. I was going through a divorce at that time. So not only was a recession and all that good stuff, and I'm going through a divorce, I'm over here looking like, what do I need to do with my life? And so when things are stripped away from you, you are like sat here and looking at yourself naked. And I had to take a real look at like, who am I? What am I doing? And I was talking to a friend who had sons, and one of the sons was upset because the father did not call him on his birthday. And usually he calls on his birthday. You know, that's probably one of the only times you get to see him, like your Christmas and your birthdays and certain things of that nature, right? And he didn't call, you know, and it's not like he couldn't see him, but whatever reason, he just wasn't that involved father. And you can see the void and the, like, why don't you love me?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you love me? Why don't you accept me? You know, there's like all these different questions
right
that goes in your mind. That's like, you're not here, so I assume that you don't want me, because if you love me, then you would demonstrate love to me,
right?
And so you imagine that, and I was just like, somebody has to. Why doesn't the father want to be with this child?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What is the real root reason on why does he not want to be there? I said, can you see that this looks just like you? Look just like you. You know, what are the fears? Are they feared of you, them becoming like you? What is it? What is really going on with you that you have a miracle baby right here? You have where all these different millions of sperm, and all of a sudden you got this one child that made it into this world and not be there. You know, and I could see that void and that hole in his heart. And I was like, man, somebody has to do something about this. You know, somebody has to like help. I'm like, is there anybody helping? Is there anybody doing anything with this? Do we realize that we are creating like this environment where, you know, young boys and girls are getting raised up without their father present and involved in their life, teaching them life skills, is affecting our communities. And I was just like, hey, I took on that initiative. I took on her voice and say, like, look, why not you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, go ahead.
And I mean, your story, your upbringing, your pain is oftentimes what creates purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, your initiative was through seeing the lack of what's in that boy's eyes of why his dad didn't call him on his birthday, the lack of what you went through as a child, and sharing those stories is what created the man in me. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. When you realize that you know what that feels like. I didn't know what that really felt like until that moment, like fully, like that's me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's me. You know, so I also had anger towards my mother, but then I had this hole with my father.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I had unforgiveness with my mother and this hole of my father not being present. And even though I knew he wanted to be there, sometimes I felt like he could have fought a little harder to be there. But I understand now, looking at it from being in this type of work and providing fatherhood services, is that sometimes the father ain't got no choice but to just keep filing at the court and keep doing this. And even though you're doing the right things, she could just keep doing whatever she want to do. And that's just kind of unfair. The court system in this system, you know, in this world, kind of, it's just unfair.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's definitely slighted toward many women.
Yeah.
In getting custody of the kids. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, if you're not grounded as a father and you're not strong in your role, then it's like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? Because they're looking at you as the provider, and it's just like they're not seeing anything else beyond the provider. And so if you can't provide in the home, well, you're gonna provide it through child support.
Mm-hmm.
And so talk about, how did the Man in Me first get started?
So when we got started, it was the vision came in 2009. So it took about a couple of years to kind of like, after that, I was just like going through my little inner workings and just trying to work out, getting a job and get on my feet, you know. I was like, I can't help anybody if I'm not on my feet. So, and I started studying and started realizing what I could do and started learning about over the course of those years. And we launched in 2012. And when we launched in 2012, we just set up some chairs, man. We just simplified it, simplified it. Just like, look, I just want to do something. I don't have much money, but I think it's important. So we're going to put this flyer out. We're going to set up some chairs, got a space, and let's just talk. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty much the beginning of it. And it was just to help men in general, right? Because we're helping fathers, but fathers are men. And so if we could deal with the man in me, the rest will follow. Yeah. So, as far as you being a father or you being a husband, a friend, but like the man in me dealing with me is the biggest inner me, that's going on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and that's we launched it, and then we've been going on 9 years, and we've been able to do a lot of amazing things since then.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. What is the purpose of the Man in Me?
The purpose is to create awareness around the importance of fathers being actively involved and engaged in the lives of their children and family. So we educate, strengthen, and support our men and fathers, cultivating healthy families, cultivating that unity that we want in our families. So, if we have healthy men that are empowered to really focus and cultivate their family, their healthy family. And so that's what we kind of focus on primarily.
That's great, man. Because, we all need support, and we all, as men, want to feel like we're in a space where we feel comfortable. A lot of times there's all kind of different things that are catered to men, but a lot of times you can feel as a man like, oh, my wife is making me go to this. Oh, they're not getting real, or they're not being transparent, or this doesn't relate to my walk as a husband, father, or even man. What kind of separates the Man in Me from other organizations or other things that are going on in different cities or states?
That's a good question. What separates from other organizations? I realize that most of the other programs are boiled chicken. No disrespect.
Boiled chicken?
I'm gonna use that analogy, right?
Okay, I'm on. Go with it. I don't know where you're going.
Yeah, it's like I know you don't know where you're going. That's like, look, well, if you ever understand about boiled chicken, most people don't boil chicken, but it's nourishment if you need it, right? It's still food, but there's no seasoning usually in boiled seasoning. If not, if you put seasoning on it, it usually like falls off, right? So it's not like, unless you put like a bunch of seasoning in it and you're making like a stew or something like that. But it's like, it's nourishment, it's food, but then there's no sauce on it. There's no seasoning on it. Okay. And so that's where I was kind of good. It's like no disrespect to the programs that are out there. It's just, when we come to like dealing with root issues, there's like a very surface level that kind of goes with that in service providing. And so usually people, they work their Monday through Friday, and then they leave. Once they leave that at home, right? Or at work or whatever. And so they don't, how you say, it's like, it's not as invested into the men as I would say, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of people, they're more like, hey, follow the system, do this, do it right, and then we're going to see, because this is what the data says. They're more by the book. And so I wanted to use the book, but then I wanted to add more things into it, because there's a lot more that's into this than just doing this, to just, talking to them and just doing the, oh, here's your class, you go to school, or, another class, another program. And so we wanted to create it more like a brotherhood and having that relationship aspect and that connection with other men and having that male to male peer mentorship. And so So that's what I would say. It's different in that way because we are really trying to cultivate ourselves, and we're able to have that safe space where we can be ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we can open up and nobody judgment, and I come from, raised in the church, and my grandfather being a pastor and all this good stuff. And so from that faith aspect, usually like these men's ministries, it's not as open and transparent as I would like for it to be. Mm-hmm. And so I've never really got anything from that, but we can pray. And so I wanted to see like what else is there to be able to do? How do we really build this? And I was like, I didn't feel any connectivity with any of the guys, even though we were connected, but it wasn't that connection. Like, it wasn't that connection. It's like, oh, well, I see you on Sunday.
Right.
So go ahead.
And that was one thing I noticed early on, in me relocating to Texas and, coming to the Man and Me barbecue, is that people were really genuinely wanting to get to know me. Like, only person I knew at the time was Corey. I didn't know you. I didn't know Marcus. I didn't know Josh. But I'm there, and mind you, I'm there, and I don't even feel good. Like, I had like an upset stomach just a few days ago, so I was, really pushing myself to come, and it just felt so warming. Like, people like, hey, talk to this person for the podcast. Hey, get a play. And I'm just like, wow, like, and I believe what you're saying is definitely key. Is that relationships mean everything. Without the relationship, it's just information.
Right.
But with a relationship, it's transformation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna drop the mic right there and let you.
Yeah, there. Go ahead. No, that's good. That's good. You dropped the mic. That's good. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. And I believe that what we are doing is different. And it's impacting lives, and it's changing lives this way. So there's still the textbook type stuff that we do, but there's more sauce to it. There's more seasoning, that I would say. So
talk about some of the services that you do offer, or things that go on with inside the Man and Me, if you don't mind.
Okay, so we have our monthly first Saturdays Men Talk. Usually before COVID, we used to just sit down, have lunch or breakfast, depends on how it is. And then we just talk about certain topic or certain subject that we're trying to basically get better at or sharpen our skills on or more information on, right? Okay. And then, so we do that. And then we do have our family cooker that you mentioned earlier that we do to be able to engage fathers and families to come out and enjoy a nice time with each other and have strongman competitions and face painting and family obstacle courses where they could be able to win trophies for their family as a family unit. And so I really enjoy that, the cookout. So we also have our Mastering Manhood conference that we usually do every year, which we weren't able to do it this year, but we've been doing it for the past 4 years. Mm-hmm. And that's to support these men for personal and professional growth and development. And so we talk about an array of different topics, whether it be from business, entrepreneurship, mental health, fathering with a busy schedule, mm-hmm. A lot of self-awareness, anger management. I did a one on still angry, anger management one. So it's just a lot of different topics and whatever the guys want to talk about. And that's from ages 16 all the way up. So we got juniors and seniors in high school. They get bussed in as well as all who are retired. So it's a wider range of people that come, and we have certain topics. Like one of my favorite ones called The Art of the Comeback. It was a manhood panel that we talked about, and that was like amazing to hear people from different walks of life still be successful. Mm-hmm. Still through all odds, still be successful in their mindset on that and how to move forward and press through life was very inspiring. So we do that every year as well. We also have our Daddy-Daughter Hair Care Day that we do. So we do events like Daddy-Daughter Hair Care Day, having the dads come out and be able to, with their daughters, and be able to learn how to style and really work around their daughter's hair and get comfortable and confident on how to navigate their daughter's hair. Because usually if mom's there, mom usually does it, but just with dad, and you're like, what do I do with this hair? It's not my hair. And so now you got dads who are coming out, and we've been doing this. We try to do at least 2 a year. So we did our 2 for the year.
And let me just say, I was a part of one of them. And I mean, that being a part of Father-Daughter Hair Day was truly amazing. Like, I only have one hairstyle under my belt, but be sure if her mom is not there, that one hairstyle going on her head, and it just gave me so much confidence with her hair, like you wouldn't believe.
That's good. That's what we wanted. That was the goal. Typically you see that dad's just not involved. It's something that the mother, does or has been doing based off past history. We know, like, mom used to stay home, dad work, right? So, mom usually handles all the kids, dad just works, and then mom cooks and whatever this quote traditional stuff would be. And dad usually doesn't know anything about that. But, to be involved, be like, I know how to do this, because just in case, God forbid, mother is not there for whatever reason, or she passed away or sick or whatever, and unable to do the daughter's hair, who's going to do it? And if this is your child, can you do this? So definitely, man, I'm glad that you got more confidence on how to work your daughter's hair.
Yeah,
so
man.
really
and I think that's what, if you don't mind me saying, I think that's another thing that separates the man in me from other, fatherhood or manhood organizations, is that you are, or the organization is, breaking down social norms. It's not just enough to be a provider. It's not just enough to have a job. It's not just enough to be a protector, but really breaking down these social norms and saying, hey, it's okay if you're doing your daughter's hair. Hey, it's okay if you're teaching your daughter or your son how to pray, or, being and that's what makes us as men more human.
Right.
Instead of kind of looking like we're just property. We're just here to work, make babies, and die. You feel me?
Right.
And so in this season, man, what are some of the many challenges fathers are facing in 2020?
One of the challenges that I'm seeing is basically the virtual learning stuff right now.
Yeah.
So the virtual learning, they're like, I'm trying to work while trying to make sure the child stays focused. And I think that's causing a little bit more of some rifts, and like, how do I move in this area? How do I move in this space where, we've never been in a pandemic before.
No. And
have technology at a certain degree where we have to literally be on this device for 4 to 6 hours out of the day. And this is not normal. And we are trying to work, and you got the babies crying in the background. You got parents that are, telling the answers to the kids. Are the kids really learning? So I think that it for me, it's just been frustrating to try to, that you want to have your kids have a great experience in their childhood, and you want them to go outside and play on the playground. I can't take my daughters out there to play on the playground. That bothers me. So I'm like, there's certain things that are frustrating. It's like, I can't do the things that I want to do with my children. And so that kind of becomes like a frustrating thing. Also, being unemployed, if they lost their job, then they don't really have the funds to be able to do some of the things anyway. But it's definitely forcing us to be able to be more creative about the things that we want to do and how to educate and develop our kids. The other thing has been visitation on a different side. Mothers, majority do not want the dads to see the children. So that's where it's becoming a big issue. Because I know we're in COVID. I'm like, but you can't just stop your, just be like, where he's, he or she's here, child's here with me, but we're in a pandemic. You just can't see your child for 6 months.
Right.
And that's where it's at. And I was like, you can't just not let me see my child. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You just can't do that. It's like, I know that we understand the situations. I understand if not to take them in certain places or whatever the case may be, but like to literally just withhold visitation from my child, like, okay, that's a big deal. So that's the biggest thing right now by far, is a lot of angry dads. A lot of angry dads that can't see their children and they are paying child support. And you're like, I want to see my baby. And you not letting me see my baby because I get it. But still, I'm the father. I need to see my child. And right. So that's where it's at. And so that's one of the biggest things, the challenges pretty much today that's going on.
I mean, that, me being married, I'm unaware of that, but that is very interesting that a lot of fathers are facing not being able to see their child because of the pandemic, because it almost poses a question for me. Is like, why? Is it the mother not trusting the father and afraid that he might catch COVID and because she doesn't know his whereabouts? Like, what is it about that pandemic that is like, nope, you can't see him, because if you see him, then you might catch something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I don't know if I even have the answer to that question. But, go ahead.
No, I would say that, even for married people, if you're in a relationship, it kind of has been this place where, because of COVID, it has brought a lot of self-awareness. It's kind of stuff that I was talking about earlier. It definitely has let you see that your job is not promised, right? That your job is not promised. And if you do not have a multiple streams of income or another stream of income, and this was your only provider, I had to think about that, because this was the guy's like, I only had one stream to provide for my family. And when that stream cut off, I could not provide for my family. Mm-hmm. And that's the reality of it. And usually I'll say, typically back in the old day where, you had a plant that you're working at a factory, the factory's going good. You work, you do your 20-something years, 30-something years, you retire, whatever the case may be. But, and you could probably have a stable job. Of course, there's ups and downs to it, mm-hmm. But it's like, it's not what it is now because of this. Like, literally restaurants that you thought, and businesses that you thought that's been there forever, like Luby's, will be there forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think of like places, you be like, hold up, you mean they shut down that? You mean they shut down this? And you're like, no, it's a reality. You're like, things can happen, and it shook some of us because we've been focused in our work and realize our position can be replaced, or it will be non-existent. It will be non-existent. And so now it's putting us in a position like, what about our plans? What about our plans? What about our purpose? What about our plans for our family that we want to accomplish and get done? And if I'm only focusing on this ain't gonna get me there. If I said, this ain't gonna get me there, because it's just not. And I think that's the reality in that self-awareness piece where, like, if I'm gonna retire, if I'm gonna send my kids to school, am I gonna send them to college? Am I gonna send them to private school? I was looking at private schools the other day, $18,000 a year. So like, is this something that you really want? Is this what you really want for your family? Like, what do you really want? And so I think that's been a deal with even me and a wife. Like, what do we really want for our family? But it's pressure on the men, I would say, as far as in my household. I know for those of you who are listening, maybe this would be for you, but as a leader and as the sole provider of my household, my wife is looking to me to lead. And I need to show and cast that vision upon what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it and strategize this. But it kind of hit us like, bro, what's your plan? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you ain't got no job, and what's your plan? And it's like all on you, and it's just like,
right.
Like you didn't have no game plan. Were you thinking about that before, that you maybe could have had a side hustle or a little gig or create a different thing where you can get a CDL and work or do whatever, have some type of flow coming in that making sure that your family's taken care of, and those things aren't taken care of. They're just assuming, in case you got nice savings and you got buttload of savings and you like, man, I'm good. Then that's you. Then more power to you. But for some of us, we don't have a $200,000 saved up in our bank account. Like that's, you know, we don't have that. If you do, that's a blessing. That's really a blessing. So, but yeah, I would say that.
And I mean, you know, in what you just said, I'm hearing a few things. I'm hearing, we as fathers, we as men, we as husbands, we as young men, we got to be flexible in this time. If we're so pigeonholed to one way of life, this is how it should be. And when things that happen that are not in our control, it'll leave you jacked up. Mm-hmm. And so you have to learn how to be flexible in life. And you have to learn how to have a vision even when nothing's happening. Because you just never know. You just never know. You just never know what's going to pan out. And you have to know, you know, I'm reminded of a serenity prayer of help me to understand the things that I can control and the things that I can't control, and know the difference between the two. Mm-hmm. And this pandemic is definitely something that you can't control. But what you can control is having a vision, having a mission, being flexible, bringing your family in closer. And this pandemic, I had a recent episode where I talked about what has COVID-19 taught me. And it's definitely taught me how to get my priorities in order. That family has to be the top of the key, and you have to be at the top of the key with it. Mm-hmm. You know? And so, man, I may have one or two more questions for you. What are some of the future classes or events that the Man in Me will be providing in this fourth quarter of 2020?
So we are starting a book study, starting on October, I want to say 3rd, I believe. We're going to do a book study. It's going to be on Monday, 1st and 3rd Mondays, and we're going to do a book study on 2 different books. One is Dave Ramsey, as far as The Complete Guide of Money. And kind of, that was some of the guys was like, how do I get my budget in order so I can do more things with my money and plan better? Because COVID definitely shook us up a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. So we were probably doing things, eating out, doing all the different things, kind of splurging a little bit. Now it's like, hey, I need to focus and get these things ironed out. And so we'll be doing a book study for that. Also doing another book. There's 2 books that we're studying: The Vision of the Anointed, Self-Congratulation as a Basis for Social Policy by Thomas Sowell. Okay. And so we will be doing that and breaking that down as well. And we have facilitators that will be over that.
Is that October 3rd?
Yeah, October 3rd. I think it's October 3rd, starting on that Monday.
And if you're listening, it might not be October 3rd right now, but if you want to be a part of it, how could they do that?
They can definitely go to the website, themanandme.org, and then you can join our email list, and we'll be able to get in contact with you there. And then you can actually put in there, hey, I'm interested in the book study. And then we'll sign you up for our text, our massive text that we send out, and make sure that you're up to date on all the different things that we got going on.
Okay. Anything else you got going on for the fourth quarter? You talked about the 2 books studies or book clubs? Anything else?
There's some. I think that's probably pretty much it. I do have a film that I'm filming as well, another documentary. But that's pretty much it for the year. There's some things I would like.
You said you got a second film, which means you had a first one. Talk about the first one.
So the first film is men sharing their stories from boyhood to manhood to fatherhood, and how their stories, the absence of their father not being in there, how that impacted them. And so we wanted to share their stories and their light on the importance of a father that has been in their life, about manhood. And so it's been great, just kind of that film. We've been able to be blessed to be selected in 3 film festivals. And so really excited about that for this year when we submitted. And it's been taking off and doing a lot of amazing things. And so what we launched at the Alamo Drafthouse is a nice theater that we have. We've done it in different colleges and whatnot, and previewed them into churches and all different areas. And so we're really excited about the film. And so the second one is women sharing their stories and the importance of a father has been in their life. So originally we've always been focused on men and fathers, and something kind of stirred my heart up, because there's another side of it that I really wanted to see. And, I was just like, you know what, we have to get the women's perspective, and we have to get the women's perspective. And I was like, let's dive on in. And so now we're on our 3rd week shooting already. And so we're really excited about this project. I probably am more excited about this project than the first project. So,
okay.
I didn't think that would be I guess because I've always been focused on men and fathers, and now dealing with the women, I'm like really pumped. I'm really excited. I'm like energized, and there's a whole different outlook that I did not know, and I have been learning so much. I've been learning so much about me and about these wonderful women that are involved in this project. So I'm just really excited about this project. Like it's really serious to me. So yeah.
Well, that's great, man. And I'm just glad to be a part of the Man in Me in whatever capacity that's in, and just seeing it grow from even the time that I've got involved until now. And so as we're wrapping it up, what is 1 or 2 things you want to leave with the viewers out here about the Man in Me organization?
About the Man in Me.
Or even about this interview.
About this interview? Oh, the interview has been great, man. It's definitely been a pleasure being able to speak, and thank you for having me on the platform. This is what we do. We enjoy and helping men and fathers be better men, be better fathers. And so if that's you, and you want to make sure that like you want to be better and you want to strive for something more, and there's something more that you could possibly be, it's possible that you can achieve whatever you would like to, as long as you put your mind to it and focus. And so I'm just excited to be here and be in this position to be able to serve. So
absolutely, man. And folks, you heard it, folks. Folks, you heard it first. The Man in Me started 2012 with some chairs in a circle and a bunch of men coming together talking. And we fast forward to 2020. He's not only has one documentary under his belt, but he's also working on another documentary, book club. We've done father and daughter hair day, cookouts, classes through iDad, summits and fatherhood and manhood conferences. So if you can be faithful to a little, then God will allow you to rule over many. And so I'm going to end it there. And I just want to thank you for being a part of this podcast, Fatherhood Friday, and tell the people out there where they can follow you at, Isaac.
You can follow me at any of the social media platforms at Isaac D. Rowe on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Also, you can go to themantome.org and you can go through all the little media channels there as well.
Well, you heard it. There's no excuse, men, fathers, dads, anybody that's listening. If you want to be involved, these are the ways you can follow him. If you're enjoying this podcast and it's on your heart to donate, you can go to Fatherhood Fridays by anchorfm.com. Go to the website and click support. You can donate anywhere from $99 to $4.99 to $9.99. It'd be greatly appreciated. You can also follow me through this man, Isaac Rowe. I'm back on social media. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, just to name a few. And above none else, if this episode moved you in any way, be sure to copy and paste and send it to somebody else. Until then, this has been another episode of Fatherhood Fridays with your host with the most, Chalmer, and we are signing off. All right, Isaac, talk to you later.
All right, later.
And here's a sneak peek into next week's Fatherhood Friday episode. And finding out what do they need from us in the moment of triumph, in the moment of tragedy, in the moment of tribulation, whatever moment it is, what do they need to hear from you at that moment so that they can know that they can go through, that they can push through whatever challenges or whatever triumph or celebration they're going through. So this has been another